Very good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. Vinod Asudani, a Sindhi poet and writer. But I am not confined to Sindhi. I write in three languages: Sindhi, my mother tongue, Hindi, national language, and English, global language. Till date, 19 books to my credit in all the three languages, and I have translated 18 Sindhi books into English. By passion, I am a poet. By profession, I am professor of English. And then I indulge in lot many things. I am psychologist, counselor, social activist, thinker, and philosopher. The first question I will answer: why I write poetry? Because I can do many things, but the best thing that I think I can do is writing poetry. If I would have been paid more for poetry, I would have quit my job long before. That's why I write poetry. I would not have done anything in the world except writing poetry. But unfortunately, poets are poorly paid in this world. Now, if I look at my creative process and journey, three important factors shape that. Number one, I am a poet of the postmodern era. I'll come to that. Second, I am a Sindhi poet. Sindhi literature occupies a very peculiar and fractured psyche in the modern time. I'll come to that. And thirdly, I am visually challenged poet, and that has imparted a different kind of aesthetics and content to my writings. Because I'm visually challenged since birth, I have not seen this so-called beautiful and colorful world. I will come to that. Now, the book on which I have got this Sahitya Akademi Award is called Hath Pakad Ja, Haath Pakadna, or Lend Me Thy Hand. Now you just concentrate on my life. Being a blind, I need to be escorted. My friends, my family members, my parents, my wife, my children, even the strangers on the road, they have to hold my hand, and only then I can negotiate the complex parts of this life. So Lend Me Thy Hand, the title of this book, is the central metaphor of my life. If I want to write an autobiography, I can sum up in the single word: lend me thy hand. And this lend me thy hand, in a poetic sense, takes various shades, various colors, various paradigms. In one of the couplets of the title ghazal, and I tell you, this lend my hand, it is the collection of ghazals. I write metered poetry. I am not fond of free verse at all, because that comes very much to close to the prose. So I write in, जिसको बोलते हैं ना, बहर वजन में गजल लिखी जाती है, और उसी में मैं लिखता हूँ. और ये जो हाथ पकड़ना, ये जो शीर्षक है, उसके दो तीन एक रफ ट्रांसलेशन में आपको बताऊं कि जाता हूं मैं खुदा के पास मगर याद रखना, जाता हूं मैं खुदा के पास मगर याद रखना, कभी खाली हाथ लौटूं हाथ पकड़ना. अगर आधी रात को सितारों की महफिल से, अगर आधी रात सितारों की महफिल से कभी गमगीन लौट आऊं हाथ पकड़ना. कभी दिल से कभी जहन से काम लिया है, कभी दिल से कभी जहन से काम लिया है, गर इन दोनों की ना सुनूं हाथ पकड़ना. कभी बेवजह ही रोऊं, कभी बेवजह ही रोऊं हाथ पकड़ना, किसी दिन खुद से डरूं हाथ पकड़ना. What I'm trying to say, that it is not simply I who is a blind person requires somebody's support and the cooperation. Tell me, is there anybody who does not want the support of somebody's hand? Now, hand emerges a metaphor. Support in anything. Support of the government, support of the family, support of the friend, support of the stranger, support of the knowledge, support of the experience, support of the passion, support of the profession. So this lend me thy hand emerges as a very complex and a universal metaphor where each one of us is able to relate and correlate. My ghazals are not in the, they are not the traditional ghazals that express love and longing for the beloved. They are not the desire of love and affection. They are not the admiration of the black hair and the white cheeks and the red lips. मेरी गजलें वफा बेवफा प्यार मोहब्बत गुल परवाना इनकी बात नहीं करती है, साकी मैखाने की बात नहीं करती है। मेरी गजलें जिंदगी के भीतर छुपे हुए कंट्राडिक्शंस, विसंगतियों, आयरनीज, पैराडॉक्सेस और उस सटल डिस्क्रिमिनेशन और इनजस्टिस को सामने लाती हैं। They have been eternal. Let me state very emphatically that human race, right from its beginning, if we have consistently followed some value, take it, that is the value of discrimination and injustice. It is operating at the subtle level. Sometimes it is visible, sometimes not. Because being a visually challenged boy, child, student, when I grew up in this society, I could feel persistently and intensely how the injustice and the discrimination operates at the various levels and which is not even the noticed. And therefore, when I tell you that my poetry is the output of the postmodern sensibility, I'm not speaking in a simple traditional way. Postmodern sensibility, I believe, it is the fractured mandate. It is the fragmentary existence. It is the aesthetics of ambiguity. At one and the same time, you are happy, unhappy, melancholic, excited, blissful, and fractured. And this complexity of the emotion, when I capture in metered poetry, it becomes ghazal. And then I tell you that there are three domains of the existence. One is a personal life, me and my surrounding, my people with whom I am personally connected. Another is socio-cultural system, the politics, the society, the culture, the economic system. And the third is cosmic system, where the divine and the devilish forces are there. Now, my poetry is a critical examination of the three domains of the existence. Let me repeat: personal domain, socio-political domain, and the cosmic domain. Now, as a poet, being a sensible and a sensitive poet, whenever I find some crack, some inconsistency, some irony in any of these three domains, there my poetry comes into being. And it is a continuous confrontation with the desire to repair these three systems. Although that is not explicitly stated, but to give a message is not the job of the poet. But at the same time, my ghazals are not the romantic expressions of sentimentality, but they are the intellectual expressions, but so aesthetically refined that it becomes a poetry. In Sindhi ghazal, there is a particular tradition which was nurtured by my senior teacher poets, Arjun Hasid, Vasdev Mohi, both Sahitya Akademi Awarded writers. So we have taken the ghazal out of the sentimentality, basking in the sentimentally, and we have established it as an intellectual expression, but so refined, as I say, by the aesthetics and the art, that you will until unless you do not make efforts, you will not understand that there is some profound thought expressed in the couplets of the ghazal. For example, when I define the struggle of anyone, in my struggle, because being a visually challenged poet, I had to put 10 times more efforts to achieve anything. Simply, if I want to go out of this hall, somebody has to escort me, somebody has to lend her hand to me. So therefore I have to work hard. So I have portrayed it in my ghazal like this: हर लम्हे का कत्ल किया है, हर लम्हे का कत्ल किया है, तब जाकर इतिहास रचा है, तब जाकर इतिहास रचा। कोई इतिहास ऐसा नहीं रच जाता जब वो स्ट्रगल होता है, लेकिन उसको पोइटिकली एक्सप्रेस करना, that is the job of the poet. That's what I try to do. Now the second point that I am a Sindhi poet, and the Sindhi literature occupies a very peculiar situation, because you know that at the time of the partition of India, when we got independence, 1947, lakhs of Hindu Sindhis were driven out of Pakistan because we were Hindus, but we spoke Sindhi language. And here, unfortunately, we did not get any state. So we got scattered in North India and the Central India. We do not have any state, and therefore we do not have any political patronage to my language. And unfortunately, because there are the demands of earning livelihood in the schools and colleges, this language has disappeared. It is disappearing from the even the families, right? So we have the challenge that people don't speak this language, and it is no support, no financial, no political support as such. and so it is passing through a crisis. Now, forget about those matters. As a poet, what impact this partition has upon me? Imagine, we all were fighting for the independence, and the moment we got independence on 15th of August 1947, all of a sudden I am said, okay, give up your home, give up your land, give up your culture and ancestral land. And immediately on the Independence Day, I became exiled from my Sindh, from my land. And you know, literature, language and culture, they are rooted in the soil. If they are taken away, then they become uprooted. So my literature is uprooted literature from its ancestral land. And this profound psychological sense of uprootedness continuously haunts me. It continuously haunts me. I cannot tell myself be happy on 15th August. The moment I try to be happy, the centuries of agony come upon my head and heart and tell me that where is that independence that binds you with your land. The moment I try to be melancholic, the moment I try to be sorrowful, the entire land of India tells me be happy because you are living in a free and independent nation. I do not know whether to be happy or sorrowful, to be very frank. So that is continuously torture, and my soul, my poetic genius is continuously being tortured between happiness and sorrow, between something that I have got and something that I have lost at the symbolic level, not as an individual, but poet is expanded into the universal sensibility, and that universal sensibility of the Sindhi literature is expressed in my poetry at many places. For example, I'll tell you one couplet. खोड़ आहिन हित नदियों पर सिंधुओं में को सावथम पैंजी सिंधु पैंजी मिटिया जी गाल कर. बहुत है यहाँ नदियाँ, लेकिन फिर भी तू सिंधु की बात कर, अपनी सिंधु अपनी सिंध अपनी मिट्टी की बात कर. Now this is a very peculiar thing to Sindhi poetry, which is hardly found in any other, because we do not have any anchor. We are the ship which is simply wandering on the rough ocean in the hope of discovering someday some piece of land, some anchor, some roots. We cannot forget the roots. The Jews came to Israel and they discovered their roots and became a great nation. But we diasporic Sindhis were driven out from our land, from the civilization of Mohenjo-daro, said that Mohenjo-daro continues to bleed, continues to feel agony in my poetry. Now the last point, I am a visually challenged poet. Now being a visually challenged person, when you look at the life and the world, it makes a difference. Because you know, much of the knowledge, it comes through your visual symbols, right? As we say, we live in the visual era. Visual images come to us, and that is the source of knowledge. I have not seen the moon, I have not seen the stars, I have not seen the faces of my mother and father, I have not seen the beauty of my wife, I have not seen the charming faces of my children, I have not seen the blossoming of the flowers, I have not seen the floating of the clouds. Then, how can I write poetry? Where does the aesthetics come from? Otherwise, if you read anybody's poetry, take it from me, anybody's poetry, visual descriptions of nature, visual descriptions of beauty of woman are abundant in any poetry, and that is, we believe, aesthetics comes from. I, with a great honor to the visual sense, differ. Aesthetics, which is confined only to the visual impressions, is incomplete aesthetics. The true aesthetics has to come from the blissful experiences that come to us from all the five senses. I may be denied, I may be deprived of the blissful experience of the sight, but the world comes to me, the world becomes alive, my experiences become alive through the sense of touch, through the sense of hearing. When I fell in love with my wife, it's a love marriage. Let me tell you the secret. She's here. It is not the beauty that I looked at her. It is the sense of touch, the way she guided me, the way she read out the books for me, the way she lent her eyes to me when she used to read the books for me. That was the moment of falling in love. Because बहुत सारे बड़े किसी शायर ने कहा, मैं नाम नहीं बोलूंगा, कि मोहब्बत तो वो हकीकत है जो निगाहों से बयां होती है. आपने सुना होगा वो एक नज़्म है, लेकिन हम कहते हैं कि मोहब्बत को निगाहों से नहीं बयां होती, ये वो हकीकत है जो निगाहों से नहीं बयां होती है. Because if you ask 100 people how your love story started, they will say, okay, I looked at her and fell in love. I did not look at her, but I fell in love because of her temperament, because of her affection. That makes a difference. And therefore, I want to establish a theoretical approach that is called disability aesthetics in literature or disability discourse in literature, where we need to, it's not, I will not dwell upon here too much, but every piece of literature can be interpreted and understood from a disability perspective. I'm developing that theory, and very soon the theory will be before you, right? And just I tell you how disability in the Gateway Literary Fest at Mumbai, I spoke at length about this disability aesthetics in literature, and in my ghazals you will find it in abundance. For example, आप सोच लीजिए कोई एक साधारण राइटर है जो जुदाई के समय अपनी प्रेमिका को जुदा होते समय एक शेर लिख रहा है. वो क्या लिखेगा? जाते जाते तुम्हारी आंसुओं भरी आंखें मेरे नजरों में उतर गई, है ना? जाते जाते तुम्हारा उदास सा चेहरा आज भी मंडरा रहा है मेरे शामों में, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, राइट? मैं क्या लिखूंगा? अलविदा कह के उसने छुआ था मेरे हाथों को, अलविदा कह के उसने छुआ था मेरे हाथों को, अभी तक है उंगलियों में स्पर्श का एहसास शेष. Here I depart and profoundly depart from the visual paradigms and establish aesthetics evoking the other senses. We have all of us are gifted with ears and touch, but we have conveniently neglected it in life as well as in literature. I want to restore the dignity of other senses, the aesthetics of other senses. In one of my popular ghazals, because here I challenge even the cosmic order. मैंने बताया था 3 डोमेन्स हैं, पर्सनल, सोशल, कल्चरल और कॉस्मिक डोमेन. कॉस्मिक डोमेन एक बाइबल का सेंटेंस चालू होता है, गॉड सेड देयर लेट देयर बी अ लाइट एंड देयर वाज अ लाइट. वी बिलीव दैट दिस इज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द यूनिवर्स. लेकिन आई आस्क यू अ क्वेश्चन इन माय कपलेट. मैं अपने शेर में, अपने गजल के एक शेर में पूछता हूँ, इज द लाइट फंडामेंटल और इज द डार्कनेस फंडामेंटल? See, light can be visible only when there is a background of darkness. Darkness is eternal, not the light is eternal. Take it from me. दिखाई दे न दे ऐसी भी कोई रोशनी होगी. दिखाई दे न दे, not necessarily कि रोशनी हमेशा दिखाई दे, नहीं. I'm different, मैं एक different आपको पैराडिग्म बता रहा हूं. दिखाई दे न दे ऐसी भी कोई रोशनी होगी, अंधेरों की कोई अपनी जुदा पहचान भी होगी. Darkness is not simply the absence of light. Darkness has got its own separate existence. Rather, the light is dependent upon darkness, not the vice versa. Not the vice versa. And therefore, let us deconstruct our paradigms and reconstruct it on the proper lines. So it is a long discussion. So I believe, thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity.